Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, text 21. Vidyate hridaya grandhi, chityante sarva samshaya, shriyante chasya karmani, drishtayevatmanishvare. Vidyate hridaya grandhi, chityante sarva samshaya, shriyante chasya karmani, drishtayevatmanishvare. Vidyate hridaya grandhi, chityante sarva samshaya, shriyante chasya karmani, drishtayevatmanishvare.
Vidyante hridaya grandhi.
Usually the Prabhu reads. Yeah. Go ahead.
Vidyate hridaya grandhis, chityante sarva samshaya, shriyante chasya karmani,
drishtayevatmanishvare.
Go ahead. Go. Carry on.
Chidyante hridaya grandhi.
Vidyate hridaya grandhi,
Chidyante sarva samsaya.
chidyante sarva samshaya,
Shayante chakshu karmani.
shriyante chasya karmani,
Drishtaye mamesware.
drishtayevatmanishvare.
Vidyate hridaya grandhi.
Vidyate hridaya grandhi,
Chidyante sarva samshaya.
chidyante sarva samshaya,
Shriyante chasya karmani.
shriyante chasya karmani,
Drishta evatmanishvare.
drishtayevatmanishvare.
Vidyate hridaya grandhis.
Vidyate hridaya grandhis,
Chidyante sarva samshaya.
chidyante sarva samshaya,
Shriyante chasya karmani.
shriyante chasya karmani,
Drishta evatmanishvare.
drishtayevatmanishvare. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as the master. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Attaining scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead means seeing one's own self simultaneously. As far as the identity of the living being as spirit self is concerned, there are a number of speculations and misgivings. The materialist does not believe in the existence of spirit self, and empiric philosophers believe in the impersonal feature of the whole spirit without individuality of the living beings. But the transcendentalists affirm that the soul and the supersoul are two different identities, qualitatively one but quantitatively different. There are many other theories, but all these different speculations are at once cleared off as soon as Sri Krishna is realized in the truth by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Sri Krishna is like the sun. The materialistic speculations about the absolute truth are like the darkest midnight. As soon as the Krishna sun is arisen within one's heart, the darkness of materialistic speculations about the absolute truth and the living beings is at once cleared off. In the presence of sun, the darkness cannot stand. The relative truths that were hidden within the dense darkness of ignorance become clearly manifested by the mercy of Krishna, who is residing within everyone's heart as the Supersoul. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.11, the Lord says that in order to show special favor to His pure devotees, He personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of a devotee. Therefore, because of the personality of Godhead taking charge of illuminating the heart of His devotee, certainly a devotee engaged in His service in transcendental love cannot remain in darkness. He comes to know everything of the absolute and the relative truths. The devotee cannot remain in darkness, and because a devotee is enlightened by personality of Godhead, his knowledge is certainly perfect. This is not the case for those who speculate on the absolute truth by dint of their own limited power of approach. Perfect knowledge is called parampara or deductive knowledge coming down from the authorities to the submissive oral receiver who is bona fide by the service and surrender. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme and know him also at the same time. He reserves the right of not being exposed to such a challenging spirit of an insignificant spark of the soul, a spark subjected to the control of illusory energy. The devotees are submissive, and therefore the transcendental knowledge descends from the personality of Godhead to Brahma, and from Brahma to his sons and disciples in succession. This process is helped by the super soul within such devotees. That is the perfect way of learning transcendental knowledge. This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotees to distinguish spirit from matter, because the knot of spirit and the matter is untied by the Lord. This knot is called ahankar, and it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter. As soon as the knot is loosened, therefore, all the clouds of doubt are at once cleared off. One sees his master and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of evil actions. In material existence, a living being creates his own chain of evil work and enjoys the work and good and bad effects of those actions, life after life. But as soon as he engages himself in the loving service of the Lord, he at once becomes free from the chain of karma. His actions no longer create any reaction. तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवती पाश्चात्यदेशिकारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्याय प्रवृत्तिषे। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्णानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। It's a very wonderful verse, and this is the concluding verse of this section. It started, I think, the first verse also. I only took class of the first verse. Shushushosa Pradhanasya, and this is the last verse of this section. All the different levels of God realization are spoken in these verses. How a person starts his practice of devotional service, like yesterday Mataji were explaining about the Mahat Seva, that is the starting point. And you know, all the 9 stages and the 14 stages which are elaborated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which lead to the highest perfection in this path, are explained in these few verses. And these can be considered as the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, which give the result, the prayojana, what happens, how the process actually takes place. Interestingly, in this particular verse, there are 3 things which are said. Hridaya Granthi is, Hridaya Granthi and Samshaya are cut to pieces. The karma is vanquished. So, knot in the heart is pierced, all misgivings are cut to pieces, fruitive action is terminated. Who sees the self as master? So this is quite interesting. These 3 have a very intimate connection. And Prabhupada starts the purport by saying that people cannot see the soul, although, it is a scientific way of looking at it, or the scientific knowledge. A similar verse Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita actually. Krishna actually is saying in 2.29, this Ascharyavat verse, he speaks about, I think I just took it out. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So, Prabhupada is, in these lines he is saying, materialists do not believe in the existence of spirit. And empiric philosophers believe in the impersonal feature of the whole spirit without individuality. The transcendentalists affirm that the soul and the super soul are 2 different identities. So, Prabhupada gave 3 classifications, but we can say there are so many. Of course, he also says there are many other theories, but all these different speculations are at once cleared off. So, what are these different theories? Krishna is saying in 2.29. What are these different types of people? In 4 categories he put. How people become astonished in connection with the soul, or or we have to say that when they either understand the soul, they become astonished, or when they don't understand, then also they become astonished. So he says, in the Ascharyavat verse, the first category of people are those who see the soul and understand that, oh, this is so astonishing. These are self-realized people. They actually see the self. So for them, these not in the heart and all these things are gone. As it is saying, as it is said here, when one sees self as master, all these misgivings are gone. So these are self-realized people. The second level of people Krishna speaks are those who talk about the soul as astonishing. We can consider them as sadhakas because they have not yet seen the soul, but they are studying the scripture and trying to understand, in a very bona fide way, what is the nature of this soul. And they speak about soul. They say soul is very astonishing. Maybe we can consider, at least I am trying to be in that category. We understand, we accept the scriptures, we respect the scriptures, although we don't have much realization of it. Many times, many parts of the scriptures we don't realize as sadhakas, but as such we can understand, okay, scriptures are not going to cheat me. So with that faith, we understand, yes, soul exists and it is very astonishing. Because Krishna also gives an elaborate description to Arjuna, the nature of soul and what are its characteristics and all that in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. The third category of people are those who hear and say, wow, it is very astonishing to hear about the soul. These people are pious people. These people actually hear from either a sadhaka or a self-realized person. They hear about the soul. They hear about the soul and say, oh, it is very amazing. I have never understood these things. So they try to understand. So they are pious people. And the fourth category, what Krishna says, are those people who hear, but they don't understand anything. And say, whatever you are speaking is astonishing. I'm not able to understand anything. You are speaking something far beyond, although it is very easy to understand. In this particular verse, Prabhupada in the purport writes very similar thing what he writes in this purport, actually in the Bhagavatam purport. So he says that men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spirit, of spark of spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. Even when Krishna explains about the knowledge of soul, it is difficult for people to accept it. Those who are impious, especially Prabhupada says, men with poor fund of knowledge. Men with poor fund of knowledge means agyani. It's very, very polite way of saying actually. Poor fund of knowledge, jiske paas, those who do not have the fund of knowledge, they are ajnanis actually. And then those who do not have austere, those who are not austere, they cannot understand even if Krishna tries to tell us. But then what is the way? As Prabhupada says towards the end of this Bhagavad Gita purport, he says that it is possible only by the mercy of a pure devotee. When a pure devotee explains, then it is possible. When we have faith in pure, in the words of pure devotee, it is possible to overcome any kind of obstacle. Spiritual life becomes very, very easy. Without that, whatever we try to do, it is impossible. Why it is so? Because it is something like, we are all in the ocean. We are trying to find some land, where we can go and save ourselves. And then pure devotee is something like, the whole entourage of the pure devotee is like a huge ship. And he's the captain of the ship. Like for us, Prabhupada is the captain of the ship. And he comes into the middle of the ocean and he says, hey, come on, I will protect you. And still we have doubt. Does it really happen? Can he protect me? Already we are in the ocean. At least we should have faith on the person who is sitting on the ship. He is already protected. But then we still have doubt. Should I actually go there? Or maybe I will enjoy in this ocean itself. Something like this. So actually, when we hear the knowledge from the pure devotee, he actually gives us a lot of faith. So what is happening whenever we are, hearing or listening or whenever we are speaking, what is happening is only the transfer of faith. It's not just transfer of knowledge. That, I impart some knowledge to you or you take some knowledge from me. No, that is not what is happening. It is the transfer of faith. So I am trying to express my faith, or the speaker tries to express his faith, and we try to grasp it. And by that, actually the knowledge is revealed within the heart. It's not some kind of academic knowledge which we just gain out of it. Academic knowledge is at the max on the intellectual platform. It doesn't go beyond that. So again, Krishna says, Tat buddhi, tad atmana, tad tanishta, tat parayana. He says about the four things which are required to actually get a realized knowledge. So the intellect has to be convinced, the mind has to be convinced, the faith has to be strong, and the goal also has to be strong. So all these four things will happen only when we see a person who has these four things very strong. We see them, we observe them, we hear from them, then it is possible. Otherwise it is something like, okay, only academic knowledge, it went up to my brain. Now I can understand that, okay, every living entity has similar characteristics, so there must be something called soul. We can't go beyond that. We can't actually realize that unless we actually associate with a pure devotee. So it is something like this. Hearing from a pure devotee is like, you have a check for $1 million. But what is the use of having a check unless you encash it? So following the instructions of pure devotee is encashing the check. If hearing alone happens, keeps on happening, like every day I hear 1 hour Prabhupada lecture. Prabhupada keeps saying the same thing, you are not this body, you are the soul. You should preach the message of Krishna all over the world. All these things only he keeps saying. But then how much do we benefit out of it? It is something like you have $1 million check. You don't get benefit out of it unless you start following that. Unless you start, changing our lifestyle according to the teachings of the Acharya. If that is not happening, then how much ever you hear, even if you hear for millions of lifetimes, it is not going to change anything. It is simply, we can show off to everyone. You see, I hear Prabhupada lecture every day. That only increases our pride. Nothing beyond that. It is not going to help us because we are not serious on encashing that. We have $1 million wealth, but we don't know how to use it. We don't have access to that. So it is very, very crucial for us that we don't just stop our, practice at the hearing level. It actually has to go to the level of following. Unless we start following it, it is impossible to get the benefit of it. So if we want to follow the knowledge, that means we should have faith. If we don't have faith, we don't follow. We say, okay, it's very nice. सुनने के लिए बहुत अच्छा है, super. He speaks, this speaker speaks very nice speech. It only goes till there. It doesn't go beyond that. Even if a pure devotee comes, even if we associate with pure devotee, for that matter, Prabhupada says that even if Krishna is speaking, Krishna is speaking, we don't put faith. We have many examples. Like many people ask me this question, why does Krishna make all this so difficult? Why can't he just come in front of us and teach us? And I said, if we are like Duryodhana, even if Krishna is passing in front of us, we don't understand that he is Krishna. Right? If we have that mentality, because Duryodhana also got a doubt. When Arjuna went to Duryodhana to ask these 5 arrows which were given by Bhishma, Duryodhana asked the question, hey Arjuna, how do you know? Only me and Bhishma know about this. Nobody else knows this. And Arjuna says, Krishna told me that you have these 5 arrows. Just go and ask from Duryodhana. He will give it to you. Charity. You ask for charity. He will give you charity. So he gets then Duryodhana gets a question. How does Krishna know? Is he really Supreme Personality of Godhead like everyone says? No, he cannot be. If he is Supreme Lord, he would have supported a pious person like me. Why is he supporting Pandavas? That was his question actually. So he was not having that faith. Although he is seeing Krishna face to face, he is not able to get that faith because he never tried to hear from a pure devotee. Right? Or Krishna himself. So he was thinking, okay, Krishna is an ordinary person. And Krishna is also expert in fulfilling desires of such people. He said, okay, no problem. If you want to consider me like an ordinary person, I will look exactly like an ordinary person. So that's what Krishna is also going to do. So we can't actually understand Krishna by our own endeavor. It's impossible. Unless a pure devotee gives us that faith. That is the driving point. Also, we see in this yoga ladder, which Krishna describes in the Gita. So the whole Gita can be put into that ladder actually. Different people, how they, what is their sadhana and various things. And in this yoga ladder also we see how people, different people at different rungs of the ladder realize what is the nature of the soul. Like vikarmis who are not in yoga ladder technically, they don't even understand that soul exists. They say, okay, it is non-existent because I can't see it. Although they don't see many things on their own, still they feel like, no, because I can't see it. And as such, they feel like my seeing is the only seeing. Unless it falls into my eyes, it doesn't exist. My vision is so perfect. This is what is their pride in the heart. No, they cannot see the soul. It's impossible. And then there are others, they also do not fall technically into yoga ladder. There are like people who equate soul with mind, and then they say, animals do not have soul, this do not have soul, that do not have soul. Only humans are privileged to have soul. These also do not fall in the yoga ladder. These are also kind of impious, people. And then there are other people who actually say that there is soul, and it lives through death. I have next life. That's what they think. This is a karmakandi level of understanding. It may not be, although they understand soul exists, they like Prabhupada gives this example of in India, even a rickshawala knows that soul exists. But his realization need not be a realization of a pure devotee. His realization is far below. He says that, okay, this life, if I struggle, if I work hard, I can enjoy in the next life, because the soul goes to the next life. His goal is still enjoying only. It's not that, I am part and parcel of Krishna, I have to serve Krishna. So, this is not a highest level of understanding, although he knows that there is soul. And then there are, Sakam Karma Yogi, he has a different level of understanding. He says, okay, soul lives through different lives. It's not that I will enjoy in the next life. Then in ISKCON Karma Yogi, after Sakam Karma Yogi, so many lifetimes of up and down, the Ferris wheel, he comes to a conclusion, how many times do I have to go up and down? Let me stop this cycle. So he becomes an ISKCON Karma Yogi, and he says, okay, soul exists, soul is eternal. He understands the eternality of the soul, or he starts to understand from there. And then when he concludes that, okay, soul is as good as Supreme Lord, then he will take him to Jnana Yoga, and he goes there. And then, he only understands, Jnana Yoga specifically understands that the soul's defining characteristic is only eternality. He doesn't know about knowledge and the bliss aspect of the soul. So he generally goes into the Brahman aspect. Or otherwise he goes into Paramatma. Only when we understand that soul is a part and parcel of Krishna, is servant of Krishna. He is meant to serve Krishna. That is where Bhakti Yoga starts actually. Unless we realize this, it is not possible. So this verse specifically gives what are the things which actually stop us from being, getting that realization, getting that understanding. It says, Hridaya Granthi is the first one. The second is Samshaya. The third is Karma. These are the three things. Because once we realize this, all these three things are gone. That means if we have these three things, we can't realize that. Right? So what are these three things? Interestingly, these three things also appear in different parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam, like Hridaya Granthi, if you remember 5.5.3, Pumsa Striya Maitini Bhavametha, Tayo Metho Hridaya Granthi, very clearly it says, this is the knot in the heart, which is very strong. This actually comes from the ignorance. What is Hridaya Granthi? The origin of Hridaya Granthi is ignorance actually, avidya. Avidya has, like last time when I spoke, I was discussing a little bit about desires and doubts. Avidya has two children. Those are desires and doubts. The doubts are also spoken about here, samshaya. When this avidya, the Hridaya Granthi, actually this ignorance, because of this ignorance, we see that we are not the souls, we are bodies. Not only this, we see others also as their bodies. It's not that I am not the body, I am soul. That is the true knowledge. But because of ignorance, I feel, no, I am the body. I am not the soul. Also ahankar, right? Because of this, we see others also in the same way. We see that they are also their bodies. And what is this body meant to do? To enjoy the other body. So this is what is, very gross way of putting it. But then this ahankar, or the ignorance, is actually nourished in a culture of Pumsa Striya Maitini Bhava. This ignorance is nourished. And who are the children born of it? Suta Kshetra Suta, Griha Kshetra Suta Apta Vittai, Janasya Mohoyam Aham Mameti. So the eldest of all children is the Janasya Mohoyam Aham Mameti. Me and mine. This thing is strengthened because of this ignorance. And when this is strengthened, although Griha Kshetra Suta Apta Vittai can be used in Krishna's service, we think no, they all belong to me. Because my attitude is me and mine. Everything which is belonging to me is the greatest or the supreme. Many kings also in the past had these things, isn't it? All the Rajarshis had all these things. Griha Kshetra Suta Apta Vittai, everything is there with them. But they were not using it for themselves. They were using it for the service of Krishna, like Ambarish Maharaj, like Yudhishthir Maharaj. But then what happens? This Aham Mameti links. It says, no, this is not Krishna. This is ultimately you are the enjoyer. That's why Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita also he says at different places in a sarcastic way. He addresses the soul as Pumsa, enjoyer, Purusha. He actually says this at various places. It is not to say that okay, soul is the enjoyer. Krishna is putting it in a sarcastic way. He tries to enjoy, although he is not the enjoyer. Many places we see that in Gita. Purusha word comes. Purusha word also comes for Krishna. Purusha word comes also for the soul. So we try to enjoy. And we are so convinced that we can enjoy. That's the problem. We are so convinced that we can enjoy separate from Krishna. And when we are so convinced and we arrange all our lifestyle according to that, that's the greatest problem. Imagine if the whole thing happens at the level of a society. So I was just trying to analyze what people do here. This is same everywhere. It's not only in US. This is same everywhere. But here we can see, very focused, directed, laser pointed, thing. That is something like, we have different types of enjoyments described in the scriptures, which are under the permission of the scripture. Actually, they are all karmakanda section. There, so many different yajnas are performed, and then people get different benefits. Those who cannot practice the highest form, they can actually go to this and get whatever they want from the scriptures. Actually, scriptures you can get whatever you want. It is possible. So these people. Imagine if one person says that why should I follow scripture? I know how to enjoy. Why should I follow scripture? I know how to enjoy. I need not perform this whole elaborate yajna. I can just get my enjoyment by doing whatever. If one person is there in the society like that, he can create a lot of trouble. Imagine if the whole society is like that. And they are collective. They are thinking in the same terms. Why should we follow scripture? Leave it. We know how to enjoy. And we will design the whole country in such a way that we can enjoy in a very directed, pointed focus. We can enjoy. And that is the culture we see around actually. Anything which comes on the path of my enjoyment, eliminate it. Anything which is favoring my enjoyment, accept it. Irrespective of what the scriptures say, what the acharya say. Who cares? Hell with it. I don't want to care. And the whole society is degraded collectively actually. And all of them are developing the same characteristics. This is born of ignorance. It is strengthened by Pumsastriya Maithuni Bhavam, and they want to promote it more and more in as many possible ways as possible. And then what comes is the eldest child, Aham Mameti, that comes. I am and mine. And the whole society is thinking in the same terms. I and mine. And then comes Griha Kshetra Sutta Apta Vittai, they are all mine only. They are meant for serving me. And with this, they keep going. And then because of this thought, the ahankar is strengthened more, and then the ignorance is strengthened more. It is like a loop. You can never come out of the loop unless somebody comes from outside and breaks the loop. They say, no, this is not life. I'm sorry to say. I have to hurt you, but that is it. You are not enjoying. You are actually suffering. How many of us heard this before coming to Krishna consciousness, saying that, hey, you are suffering? No one. Because nobody dares to say that. Because nobody has a formula for happiness better than this material happiness. Right? Nobody has that. But a pure devotee, he says, he dares to say that. Right? Like when Prabhupada was walking one day in USA, that he saw this snow everywhere. This is becoming a sheet. I don't know what we call it. The ice, right? Ice on the surface of a pond. Wherever he's walking, there is small portions of ice here and there. He's he's walking on the path, and he's specifically breaking one by one with his stick. He was breaking. Disciples were, Prabhupada, what are you doing? They thought that he's doing some, plaything out of it. He says, no, the ignorance is like this, I'm breaking it. So Prabhupada is very clear in whatever he was doing. He was telling people, his disciples by example. Till Prabhupada entered into our lives, we never heard this statement, hey man, you are suffering. We always thought, no, I'm enjoying. Nobody was having this guts to say that, hey, you are suffering. Because nobody has a formula for enjoyment. And they were simply saying, okay, you are enjoying, I am enjoying. Let us be in our own dreams, in dream world, and keep continuing our life. That's what people said. But Prabhupada said, no, you are not enjoying. You are suffering because of avidya, because of ignorance. And this knot in the heart is becoming harder and harder. It is something like when this rope, sometimes we use this thread for stitching clothes. Imagine if it gets wound on itself, like, what do we say? They're knotted. It is very difficult to remove that. It's very, very difficult. And imagine you keep rotating like this. It becomes harder and harder. It becomes harder. It takes a lot of time to remove that. But pure devotee gives us the knowledge of how to just unwind everything. Because the knowledge actually goes directly into the soul and says, you are this, you are not the body. You remove that. So because of this, loosening of the knot, all the avidya is almost like vanquished. But then there are still, some doubts. Why these doubts come? Because we don't have faith. That's the problem. We don't have faith in the pure devotee. We still feel, can he really save me? We are drowning, but still we have doubt. Can he really save me? At least I hold the rope and try. Maybe he can pull us. We don't know. At our level, we don't know. Unless we actually go onto the ship, we don't know. Oh, really, I am on the ship. I thought I will be dead and gone. But then, pure devotee's mercy is going everywhere. Only thing is, we keep escaping ourselves. No, somehow I don't want to catch this rope. Maybe he will pull me out, because we want to protect our anarthas. I think this is the third class I am speaking, and all the three classes this theme has been contained. Somehow Krishna is arranging. We try to protect our anarthas. We try to guard our anarthas so carefully. Say that, without this I can't enjoy. What is life without this? This is our attitude actually. With this, we can't actually go far in the spiritual life. So Krishna always in our life puts a choice. You want me or this anartha? Very clear. He says, we might have seen it in our lives also. Taking from a biggest anartha to the smallest anartha. He says, at one point in our Krishna consciousness, we have to come face to face with our anarthas, and Krishna puts a question. You want me or this anartha? Choose one of them. You can't choose both. You can't choose both. You can choose only one. You say anartha, Krishna says, okay, I will wait. I will wait till you get cleared of this, because you can't go ahead without clearing of this one. But when we say Krishna, he gives us all support, like Prabhupada is explaining. In the Paramatma, this is helped where I think in this purport only somewhere, he says about, this is helped by the super soul within, right? He comes and helps us. He comes and helps us say that, okay, you left another for me, I am there to protect you. That's why he is saying, Masucha, do not fear, because I am there to protect you. You don't have to worry. Only thing is, you have to be careful. Don't keep looking back. What did I miss? What did I miss? Maybe it's not worth it. Missing that for Krishna is not worth it. Then Krishna also says, okay, if you feel like that, go back. But then coming back is very difficult. Right? It's like a one-way traffic generally. You keep going back, but you can't come forward so easily. It's like that. So, unless we put faith in the words of the pure devotee, these Hridaya Grandhi and the Samshaya are not going to be cleared up. It's impossible. There is no other way actually. It's impossible. Actually, Prabhupada in one of the purports in Bhagavad Gita, he says about doubt is a sign of intelligence. But actually what Prabhupada wanted to say is inquiry. Doubt is generally having a negative connotation, right? So doubt means we actually, become very speculative. Are these people crazy? Why are they doing that? Like in Tirupati ISKCON temple, I remember when we enter into the reception, on the right side there is a poster, who is crazy? Prabhupada, small. They think that the whole world is thinking that these devotees are crazy, always chanting Hare Krishna, doing nothing good. But then Prabhupada in the bottom he says, but actually they are crazy. Why they are crazy? They are thinking this body to be the self. To this extent, it's not exact words, but the whole statement is there. When I read it first time, I was so impressed. I took a snap and I shared it with all my friends. Although, they might have read it many places, but this is it. We have a complete different vision towards the whole world, isn't it? Which is given by Prabhupada. We try to see through his lens. The whole world is trying to see through another lens, which is the enjoyment lens. What do I get out of it? If I don't get out of it, eliminate it out of my mind. I don't want it. Whether it is humans, whether it is animals, whether it is environment, we don't care really. We say, no, it's not for my enjoyment, remove it. I don't care. But then pure devotee says, no, this is not the way of looking at the world. It's completely different. Apparently the first way of looking at things appears to be very easy because everything is satisfying my mind and senses. But then The second way which a pure devotee gives appears to be quite difficult because everywhere I have to follow austerity. I have to go against my mind. I have to go against my senses. I have to go against my desires. But then pure devotee says, no, have faith in me. Have faith in me. I am going to take you to the highest destination. If we actually lack this faith, we keep oscillating in spiritual life. Okay, sometimes high, sometimes low. Sometimes high, sometimes low. And this is never going to end. This is never going to end. This keeps on continuing for lifetimes. We are never going to come to a conclusion. Because Krishna is putting that choice. Me or that anartha, you choose. If we choose anartha, Krishna says, okay, go ahead. You keep going up and coming down, going up and coming down. Unless we say to Krishna, no Krishna, enough is enough. I don't want to go with it. I'm suffering enough with that. I want you, but I don't know how to do that. Then Krishna says, okay, take this Guru. Put faith in his words. Accept him as you accept me. Then it is possible because he is showing through his example. He is showing this is the way you have to give up the anartha. Because we don't even know that. We don't even know that. We don't even know how to come out of this hard knot of material existence. We somehow relish that. Somehow we don't know where is it coming. Where is the taste coming from? It's like camel eating the cactus. Taste is coming from camel's ignorance, isn't it? Similarly, from our ignorance also the taste, okay, material world is all happy, beautiful, very nice, wonderful. Why do we have to go to Goloka Vrindavan? It's not needed. So that is the attitude we have because we don't see things as they are. Unless a pure devotee shows this is what is the reality. We can't see because the whole world we think everywhere we see enjoyment only. This can give me enjoyment, this can give me enjoyment, this can give me enjoyment. This is the way people see this world in general. Everything through the vision of enjoyment, through the lens of enjoyment. Whereas pure devotee says, no, how can I use this in Krishna's service? How can I use this in Krishna? Like Prabhupada was standing on the rooftop once and there was this big truck going and he was observing one by one vehicle moving. And when a devotee came and asked, Prabhupada, what are you looking at the motor vehicles? Prabhupada said, no, I am trying to find out which vehicle will be good for our Jagannath Ratha Yatra. So this is the vision of a pure devotee. Right? He always sees things in their perspectives. These are connected to Krishna. For us it is different. Right? We can't understand. Sitting at this level, we can't see how they are looking at from their perspective. We have to go there to see from there. And for that we need the help of a pure devotee. We say, okay, pure devotee pulls us, okay, please come up. I will show you how to see at things. And when we see through that lens, it becomes very clear, oh, this is the fact, Everywhere there are living entities, everywhere there are souls wanting to get their bodies, for different kinds of enjoyments. And I got the topmost body, the human form of life. I should not waste it. And it is very limited. It's a limited period offer. Limited period offer. We see that in many stores, right? It's a limited period, only 60, 70 years. After that, you are not going to get this offer again for a long time. It takes millions of lifetimes, 8.4 million species of life. You have to go through all of them and come back here. It's very difficult. This human form of life is very rare. Unless we put faith in the pure devotee and accept his words as they are, forget about it. It's not going to happen. Did I tell that story once? I think in our Bhakti Vriksha I said about this blind man falling into a well. And this well is so dark and he is so blind. He can't see anything. Everything, imagine if there is darkness, even if you have perfect vision, 6 by 6 or 20/20, whatever you call it. Still we can't see anything. If it is pitch dark around us, we need the help of sun, we need the help of artificial lighting to see things. Imagine this fellow is blind and then he fell into a well which is completely dark, fully dark, nothing is visible now. Now, he was somehow, getting up and falling down and getting up and falling down. Somehow he went to the boundary of the well. He's so far deep inside. And he found that there are some gates. And these gates are all closed. How many gates are there? 8.4 million gates. Only one gate is open. Only one gate is open through the well, which can bring him out. And he starts touching the wall, keep walking like this. He sees which door is open, which door is open, which door is open. Everything is locked. But when he came to the gate which is open, he got a itching sensation on his hand. He started scratching the itching, he missed the gate, and he went again. This is what happens in our life also. So we get this little bit of itching sensation, let me enjoy in this world. Then we miss the whole thing. We again have to go through the 8.4 million species. That's what Prahlad Maharaj says very clearly, Kanduyanena karayoriva dukkha dukkam trupyanti neha kripana bahadukka bhajam. And they are never satisfied. How much ever you give, our senses will keep demanding. Do you think that after 40 years all our material desires will be vanished and immediately become, today night we sleep as a normal person, sadhaka, and tomorrow morning we get up as a pure devotee? It's not going to happen. It's a hard struggle. Just like, struggle is a defining characteristic of the material world. Similarly, struggle to reach Krishna is the defining characteristic of life of sadhaka. Unless we have that zeal, unless we have that focus to reach Krishna, no, we can't actually go. We have to put all our energies in one direction, on one pointed focus to reach Krishna, to find out Krishna. And then, because of that one pointed determination, we can actually improve our faith, we can actually put the faith in the words of spiritual master, and they can take us very quickly to there. But then, if we are not ready to pay this price, forget about becoming pure devotee. It's not possible. We can't simply say that, okay, today I am a normal sadhaka. One fine morning I will get up as a pure devotee. I will get up from my sleep and I am so enlightened that I walk into the forest like Sukadeva Goswami, never to look back. No, it's not going to happen. There is going to be struggle. And unless we are ready to accept that struggle and challenge in spiritual life, it's impossible. Don't expect that Krishna will become, will make us Kripa Siddha. There are different Nitya Siddha, Nitya Baldha. There is a category called Kripa Siddha, where Krishna just showers his mercy without any qualification. Says, okay, take it. Just to show as an example to the whole world. This is like in case of Ajamil, there was Kripa Siddhi. What did he do? What good things did he do? He was a pious Brahmana before. That's okay. But after committing so many sinful activities, do you think that the name of Hari will come out of us, spontaneously? It won't come. That was Krishna's mercy to remind himself to Ajamil, okay, now you chant my holy name and show to the world what is the power of my holy name, what is the glory of my holy name. So that is Kripa Siddhi. Sometimes Krishna showers his mercy on someone just to show to the world this is the potency of the process. You take to it seriously, you will attain perfection. But don't expect that happens with everyone. I will also become a Kripa Siddha. I don't have to do anything. One day Krishna will shower his mercy. No, it is not going to happen. Don't even think that, because of being killed by Krishna, many demons achieved liberation. So let me become a demon. In one of the lectures of His Holiness Bhaktirasamrita Swami Maharaj, he was saying that, he was actually comparing, is it better to become a demon like Hiranyakashipu and being killed by Krishna and go back to liberation or something like that? He said, no, it's not better, because devotional service is far easier compared to, what kind of austerities and all these things Hiranyakashipu underwent. It's very, very difficult. If we can't do bhakti, we can't even do that. So I will just conclude with one small thing. The culmination of all our doubting tendencies is when we doubt the words of the scriptures and Guru. So that is the topmost, biggest doubt. If we can just overcome that, somehow put our faith in the words of scriptures and Guru, it is possible to overcome the missions of ignorance. It is possible to break these knots in the heart. It is possible to give up all the samshaya, doubts. And it is possible to get out of the fruitive actions. I am not discussing much about this fruitive action section because of lack of time is one thing, and many times we might have heard that. There are many times we heard how karma gets vanquished when we become pure devotees of Krishna, because Krishna takes control over the karma. This is one explanation. Acharya said he takes control over the karma and he just gives whatever is needed, just like a medicine. Okay, go through this phase, get cleared of some of the karma. And then go through the next phase, get cleared of some of the karma. And Krishna keeps giving this as long as we don't realize. We don't realize saying that, okay, Krishna, you are controlling. I know that you are controlling. If we don't realize that, Krishna keeps giving, okay, now you have another chance. Now you have another chance. It's like somebody who is studying in the school and he, let us say he's studying in 5th or 6th standard. What is the qualification to go to the 7th standard? He has to pass the 6th standard. If we don't pass, then the school will say, okay, Baba, you are not qualified, stay at 6th standard. Imagine if he doesn't pass for 100 times. School is not going to be merciful, saying that, okay, 100 times you did, go to 7th standard. No, it's not going to happen. Stay at 6th, learn what is being taught, pass the exam, then you are promoted. You don't have to wait for 100 exams. You can do it in one time also. Only thing is you have to give the right answers to the right questions. That's it in the exam. If we don't do that, then we are back. Even after 100 times, 1000 times, we are still at the 6th standard only. So Krishna's way of working also is very similar. He says, okay, I am putting you in a certain situation, learn something out of it. Go to an acharya, ask him what to learn from this situation. Because he sees things as they are. You can't see things as you are, as they are. You see things as you are. Right? You don't see things as they are. Acharya sees things as they are. So you go and learn from him. If you don't learn from him, again I am going to put through the same similar situation again. Because you did not learn anything. Without learning, what is the growth in bhakti? You don't grow. You are at the same level. You can't go ahead. You can't go ahead. Krishna puts, although Krishna is very merciful, but he doesn't compromise on the standards. He doesn't say, okay, I am so merciful that anybody and everybody can come to Golokunda. No, that is not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It is something like, I am merciful, I will provide you all the facility, but you have to learn the lesson. Without that, I am not going to leave you, because this is for your benefit. Otherwise, you go to Golokunda and you are going to create disturbance to all other devotees. And Krishna doesn't allow that, because he is very protective of his pure devotees. He doesn't allow us to disturb them. So he is not going to do that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, we say, yesterday Mataji was discussing about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Patita Pavan. Right? Lord is Patita Pavan. He is the reclaimer or protector of the fallen soul. But he is not Kapati Pavan. Right? Kapati is a person who is a cheater. Right? He is not Kapati Pavan. He is Patita Pavan. So if we try to become Kapati, we don't have even place in Lord Chaitanya's movement. The Lord says, I can't deal with you. Or he says, okay, my dear Maya Devi, please take care of him. He's he's demoted into your school. Now you take care of him. And Maya is a very strict teacher, not like Krishna. Krishna is very gentle in that sense. Maya says, okay, I'll take care of you. I have this Trividata, Ajhadmik, Adibhautik, Adidevik, keep, poking the Jivatma.
So actually the things almost there.
Yes, Mataji, please. Yes.
Yeah, so the requirement, continuing from yesterday to today, the requirement is to stay on the boat. That is required.
Yes.
So the ups and downs are always there.
Yeah.
You still need to stay on the boat and continue practicing. That is required. Like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Advaita Acharya, that you be merciful to, you can be the most fallen, but the movement is meant for uplifting all the living entities. You are not on the top platform. You are just an average living entity with all the problems that, as was discussed. And yet, this movement is meant for that purpose.
Yes.
That's where the hope is. As long as you stay on the boat and continue practicing.
Staying on the boat means being genuine with ourselves.
Yeah.
Say, I want to rectify myself. If that is the mood, yes, it is. As you said, Lord Chaitanya will surely take care. That is.
But he was not he was very specific to Advaita Acharya that you cannot give that mercy to someone who is arrogant and proud.
Yeah, correct.
One has to be humble.
Yes.
Humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, and giving respect to all the other living entities.
Yeah.
And that's the qualification which is essential.
Yeah.
And that is Lord Chaitanya's movement.
Yes.
It's not like being arrogant and proud.
Yeah, as you yesterday explained about respecting others, that's the crucial thing of the whole Trinadapi Sunichena verse. Respecting others.
So this one, Vidyade Hridaya Grandhis, Chidyande Sarva Samshaya, Shriyante Chasya Karmani, Drishta Eva Manishwari. Like at the end, when the Lord becomes visible.
Yes.
By the Lord Himself taking charge and removing that anatta, what was that, the word that we used there?
Hridaya Grandhi.
The Hridaya Grandhi is the
Ahankara.
The false ego.
Yes.
The knot of the false ego is broken not by our effort, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord.
Yes.
The Lord Himself, opens the pathway. That's the way it goes.
I'll just conclude with one small analogy. So we have layers of ignorance on our existence actually. Layers of, it's not like sometimes we feel like, Bhaktilata beach, when we give this example, there are weeds around us. Around the Bhaktilata beach, we say one sprout is coming up and there are maybe 5-10 weeds around it and trying to. No, there are acres and acres, millions of acres of weeds in which one small sprout is trying to come up. Don't think that, 4-5 weeds, we can just pull it and throw it. No, it's not so easy. There are acres of weeds which are there around us. Similarly, there are layers of ignorance on our heart, which have to be one by one have to be broken. And that is possible. They are like, when we go into the kitchen, we see these vessels sometimes very greasy vessels. How do you clean them? How do you clean them? You apply a very powerful detergent, then it is very easy to clean that. Is it that you just pour some detergent and leave it aside, then it gets cleaned off itself? I'm just ending, Mataji. It's not like that. It is something that you have to keep scrubbing it. That scrubbing process happens when in the association of pure devotee. Although the detergent of holy name is there, we can't just get cleansed of ourselves because we don't know what is the power of holy name. Right?
That reminds me of one of the Srila Prabhupada's, just we finished one minute, just 1 minute, yes. That there was that incident when Prabhupada gave this girl a pot to clean, and she washed it and brought it back. And he said, clean it back again and bring it back. She did. Finally, at the bottom side of the pot, there was this black soot. He said, go clean that. And she cleaned it and brought it back, and it was said that she 3 times or so went and cleaned it again and again. Finally, it was so shiny. When she brought it back, Prabhupada was so pleased, and he was shining like that. So when you have that mercy coming from your spiritual guide, naturally, you get that mercy. Thank you so very much.
In this context, I remember his one Srinivasa Maharaj mentioning that he did in the Brooklyn temple. Because he could see his face then, but then it was showed even outside also it should be.
Yeah.
That's what. And after that, we had our kitchen very nicely functioning for 3 weeks and back.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.